Good afternoon and welcome to the grand finale of the Tour de Suisse 2013. Stage 9, and it's a mountain time trial from Bad Ragaz to Flumserberg in the east central region of the country. We're about 120 kilometres east of Zurich. Leaving Bad Ragaz, where stage 8 finished yesterday with the Peter Sagan win. He secured the points jersey, but today it's all about general classification. The first part of the time trial is flat, and then the last 10 kilometres from Flums all the way up to the Flumserberg, around 10 kilometres at 8%. It is not easy at all. We've driven the course. It gets harder and harder as it gets up to the top. The Flumserberg is going to see the general classification. The yellow jersey fought out here right to the wire on the Tour de Suisse. The riders have been at it for 9 days now, and this is how it's added up so far. Matthias Frank of Switzerland, 13 seconds of advantage over last year's winner Rui Costa. Roman Kreuziger's in with a shout, but look down to Thibaut Pinot, Bauke Mollema. He could be a very good shout today. Even TJ Van Garderen further down. There are big differences already on this course. You've seen a few of the riders wearing different jerseys. I can tell that Robert Vrecha, we won't see him. He's in the hut already. Peter Sagan, points winner, is on the course out there, and we wait for the last rider, Matthias Frank, who wears yellow. So the last time we were in Flumserberg, Igor Anton won, but look at this. Sean Kelly, Marco Pantani, Lucien Van Impe, big names, most of them with good climbing legs. It is good climbing legs you'll need, and very much so a good time trial ability. Darryl Impey has both. He's won 3 stages so far in 2013, one of which was the South African National Time Trial Championships. He currently leads the race with the best time. Gatis Smukulis came in not long after him and also beat his teammate who have been leading for a while, Alexander Kristoff. He is second. And third at the moment, Stijn de Volder of Radio Shack Leopard, 55 minutes and 50.86 seconds. Well, today is so hard that even the organisers underestimated how difficult it would be. They put down on their time schedules that it would take most riders, the average rider, around 45 minutes to complete. And another 10 minutes, and you've got the quickest time so far. Not exactly the correct estimation of how things were going to go. This is a man who'll be looking to put in a quick time there. Michele Scarponi, never the best on the flat, just defends himself, but it's on the hill where he's been climbing very well this week, where he will be looking to put in a good team. Michele Scarponi cannot do anything on the general classification. Falls and bad luck have got him his way. He'll be attempting to try and take the stage win off of Darryl Impey. For general classification, everything all to play for. Peter Velits can time trial too. Alongside me, a man who knows plenty about time trialling, Magnus Baxter. Magnus, how do we see this one playing out today? All about the GC boys, you feel?
Well, I certainly think it's going to be a GC sort of rider that's going to win this one at the end of the day. You know, it's difficult to motivate yourself unless this is your thing that you do as a cyclist. You know, but I've got to say though, the GC guys have got that little bit more to give because they're fighting for the overall win. It's an interesting time trial as well though, because we've got this big mountain that we're going up, 10 kilometers of climbing, and the first part though is extremely flat. I mean, there's no climbing whatsoever, and really quite fast pace as well. So you know, with that you got the difficulty in choosing bikes, choosing wheels, the equipment, you know, everything around it is going to have to be just right. And you know, speaking to certainly to Roman Kreuziger earlier on today when he'd been up here riding the climb, just checking, you know, to see what it was like to obviously try and get his gear selection and everything right. He said, I'll definitely be changing my bike at the bottom of the climb.
Maxime Montfort, the latest to go out, 21st on general classification. That means there are 21 live riders left to go out. It's that simple at this time of the week. We've come down to the final day. Maxime Montfort, the Belgian rider, strong, fast rider, and a rider who can go uphill as well. Just got to see how he gets on today. Interesting you mentioned, Magnus, all the different types of equipment. We'll go through all those choices and possible choices a little later on. First of all, this first part of the flat certainly takes the route that we saw yesterday out of Bad Ragaz, through a couple of towns to Flums, which is the base of this climb. Then it goes uphill for the final 10 kilometres. Now someone like Peter Velits, who's very, very strong on the flat, perhaps is going to be in for a shock when he gets into the climbing bit. He's a good time trialer. He can climb as well, but he's not a pure climber.
No, he's certainly not. You know, we can't compare him to some of the someone like Scarponi maybe, who's a far better climber. But he does climb incredibly well, and he does time trial well as well. So I think, you know, someone like him, he could actually do quite well on this particular course. But like you said, it's all about getting the opening part right, in terms of you know, just not opening up too hard, having plenty of energy left to spend. But then again, you can't afford to give away 5, 10, 15 seconds on the flat, because they're going to be hard to bring back when you get to the climb. So it's not one of these time trials that I would have looked forward to with enthusiasm as such.
For the riders at the moment going off every minute. That will continue in the same vein until we get a little further down the list, and after Alexander Dyachenko goes out, we'll have the top 10 going out 2 minutes apart. There will be Cameron Meyer, Simon Spilak, Tanel Kanga, Dan Martin, TJ Van Garderen, Bauke Mollema, Thibaut Pinot, Roman Kreuziger, Rui Costa and Matthias Frank as well. This is Andre Amador, the second best place rider for Movistar. He's chosen to start on a full TT rig, and going back to those equipment choices, if we can outline them for the viewer now, I think what is fairly clear is, for the moment, most of these riders starting the stage are choosing to go out on traditional TT rigs.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to have to be the case for you know, for the speed that they're travelling. You can see, you know, Peter Velits here, he's turning over quite a big gear, and it certainly is travelling at the moment, I would sort of guesstimate it to be around about 53, maybe 54 kilometres an hour here. And on a time trial bike, you're saving so much energy just because of the aerodynamics of it. The problem is, though, when you come into the climb, the disc wheel that they have on the back is far too heavy to climb with. So you will end up losing quite a lot of time. And I would guess somewhere between 45 seconds and a minute, depending on, maybe even a minute and a half, depending on what kind of a wheel it is and who makes it and what weight it is.
Now, Andreas Kloeden about to set a new best time. Sorry, Darrell Impey, but this isn't going to be your fourth win of the year. Andy Kloeden, as you can see, on a road bike at the minute. He's no slouch on a flat on TT either. This certainly brings us very nicely onto the equipment change that you were talking about. Andy Kloeden, we'll see him set this time first. He's coming towards the top of what is a very, very difficult climb. It averages at 8%, but gets very, very much steeper than that in parts towards the end. Kloeden going to come across the line and going to set a new time by a long, long way. Almost 50 seconds better. 49.09. Andy Kloeden now has a wait to see if anybody can better what he's done today.
Yeah, Kloeden definitely would have started on his time trial bike and just put a climbing bike at the bottom of the of this mountain here. And you know, it's not an easy thing to do, though, getting off the bike, changing from a time trial bike, a different position, and then jumping straight on your road bike and finding the rhythm on the climb as well. And
that's why some riders perhaps might choose to use a more aero road bike with a set of clip-on bars.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea to do, but then again, you know, it's finding the position where you're happy to sit in that on that bike, and also, you know, being able to climb well on it. And also you've got a bit of a trade-off there in terms of both of aerodynamics, but also in terms of weight for the climb. So, you know, I think that at the moment the change is going to have to be the best way forward. Just get a super aero bike, TT bike, do the first 15 kilometers or so of the stage on that bike, get up into the climb and really go probably about a kilometre and a half before when you feel that you really are starting to slow down in pace. At that point, you get off the bike and change. And I'm sure these guys would have been out here and reckoned where to do it. I heard though there was a couple of guys that changed their bike a little bit too early, so they're carrying too much speed, and really had to sort of brake to get off the bike, get onto a new bike, and then work their way forward with that. And it's a difficult kind of thing to master for both rider and crew.
Like I say, you picture Christophe van der Walle, the Belgian time trial champion, has just come in 41 seconds, pardon me, back from Andy Kloeden. So had he come in before, he'd have set the new fastest time, but in the end it is Kloeden who takes it off him. This is Janez Brajkovic for the moment. Now then, first things first, before we get on to this with Brajkovic, it is Switzerland, it is a time trial. Everybody's asking about Fabien Cancellara. Fabien is outside the top 10. He went out very early, finished early. He didn't even get the lead at the time. I think he was third when he came across the line, but a lot of better times have gone since then. First of all, he hasn't got the full form that we'd expect Cancellara to be in. Secondly, this is a very, very difficult uphill time trial. And I think he mentioned that he was all right with his gearing. We've got a lot of different styles of gearing, and that's another big topic to go into as the afternoon goes on. He was happy with that. He was happy with his effort, just not good enough on the day.
No, you'll never expect a Cancellara to win on the top of a mountain like this, even though it is a time trial. Time trials are different like any other sort of road race that you would have or whatever. Certain courses suit certain riders. Although we've got to say Cancellara has in the past been proving that he can do just about everything. But this is far out of his comfort zone.
Sebastian Reichenbach for I Am Cycling. Out he goes. Already seen the likes of Martin Elmiger come across the line. This is Scarponi. He's dearly a man who would love to take a stage win today. Yes, of course, he's not the greatest on the flat in the time trial, we know that, but he's got slowly better as the years have gone in terms of sort of defending gaps in big races. Do you think he's a realistic prospect for taking something today?
It's difficult to say already now, but he should certainly be able to go up the climb fast enough. Whether he's then held a small enough gap on the flat, it's going to be the case. But like you said, he has improved, and I've got to say as well, I think a lot of it has come with the equipment change. They're on their bike brand now, which really take pride in making sure that the team has the top equipment, both aerodynamically, weight-wise, and everything else. And you've seen a lot of the Lamprey Merida riders do really well this year in pretty much across the board, and certainly a couple of time trials where they've surprised me anyway.
Well, the weather today for time trialling is very, very hot out there. This is Jens Vogt. Oh, good time from Jensi as well. 45.02 down on his teammate Andy Kloeden.
Jensi came up on a TT bike.
He's given it a right old go. Really well done from him. Didn't want to waste time changing. And again, it's all down to rider preference and the individual characteristics, you say.
Yeah, and how much time you spend on the time trial bike, if you learn to climb on it or not. I know there's some riders that, like Ivan Basso, who goes out and does sort of mountain training on his time trial bike and just sits and rides it regardless of the terrain. He rides his TT bike on certain days, and you can kind of get used to riding it. I'm not sure though that the wheels are going up here on a disc wheel on the rear and a really deep front wheel like the one we see Peter Velez on here it is too heavy.
We spoke to a man who did just that as a bit of a trial run for his team early on.
Yeah.
Luke Rowe.
Yeah, exactly. And Luke said he could feel it being sort of dragging him, holding him back on the climb there.
He said it was a cruel stage to end with, the Tour de Suisse. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that, but he's worked very hard for his team all week. And both him and Dave Miller, who was second at one stage, just didn't find it too easy at all.
No, and it's obviously finding the right gearing, like we touched on earlier. It's something that is very difficult on on a climb like this, on a course like this, because you're coming in on such big gears on the flat, and you're really turning them over, and all of a sudden you've got to drop down and start really turning higher torque figures and on the smaller gear, and it's difficult when you're under max pressure to make that transition.
We're just outside the top 10 going out.
Oh, they're just about to do the bike change here for Peter Velits.
And here we go, Velits coming alongside, quickly off the bike, and it's rather like a pit stop in motorsport. You've got to get this done quickly, don't want to waste any time.
That was not a good change though.
Gets a bit of a push, and again, a few seconds perhaps he couldn't afford to lose. Interesting to note that at the time check at 16 kilometres, he was just behind Patrick Gretsch's time, and Gretsch, of course, very strong time trialer on the flat. But you'd expect Velits, as we can see now, to be quicker going uphill, and you can see that because Gretsch has slowed down considerably and he's just in front of him. Now Moreno Moser, 26th before today, 13 minutes and 12 seconds back. Moser on the flat at the moment and riding a full-time trial rig.
I think we'll see an awful lot more bike changes at the bottom of that climb, or a couple of hundred metres up it anyway.
They'll be hoping to be better than that of Peter Velits and Omega Pharma Quick Step.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do this kind of a thing, you need to ideally just send the bike out there with someone early on and park up, and basically have two guys there waiting. One that when you jump off the bike, you chuck that to one of your staff, and then the other member of staff is standing there waiting to give you the road bike and push you off.
Well, let's see what Cameron Meyer is capable of. Started the week winning the time trial in the yellow jersey. Spent the day there. Then it was lost. Matthias Frank taking over in box. From in earlier on, just a day early. We were up there. Now then, a chance here for Kevin de Vet, but he has to be quick inside the last 100 metres. Good effort this from the quick step man. Look at the time flashing up at the bottom. 54:36:51 is the time he has to beat, and Kevin de Vet is really racing into the line. I'm afraid though, I think he's just going to be out of time. And of course, for him, he's 3 seconds long. Too long. Unlucky Kevin de Vet, giving a real good go. And the man counting himself down and getting ready. Sitting on the time trial throne up there on the stage at the moment. And rather like we saw Cam Meyer being forced to watch the television at the start of the week, Andy Kloon, as the leader of this stage so far, does just that. This in the meantime is Sebastian Eichenbach, who goes through a gear change. Now, this equipment change we saw last month very much in the Tour of California. On that day, TJ Van Garderen was the winner. It's another possibility today, but we must emphasise that the strength of the field and the know-how of the field, of course 19 I should say now, with Katusha World Tour teams here, is that much stronger.
Yeah, it is quite a bit stronger, and but I think TJ should be a bit stronger as well, because we're not that far out from the Tour, so he would have been building up towards California and then he kept on going again from there. So
new quickest time with 5 kilometres to go, Michael Albazzini, 36:39. It's been interesting looking at those times. Andy Kloon must have had a superb last 5 kilometres or so as the road goes up in gradient again. Interesting to see if Albazzini can do it again. He's had a bit of a slipstream into that time check. Skin suit unzipped, as you can see. No stage win yet for Albazzini. He was up there yesterday though. Looks like he's enjoying it, even smiling as he climbs this. Here's Simon Spilak, another man who's improved exponentially as far as his time trialling ability is concerned. On quite a flat course in Geneva earlier this year in the Tour de Romandie, he wasn't far off Chris Froome.
Yeah, I mean, time trialling is so difficult to do as a discipline. It's basically going out there and just digging a big hole for yourself to jump into. That's pretty much what it is. And you've got to push yourself and be willing to hurt yourself all the time, and the moment you sort of lose your focus and concentration the tiniest little bit is the moment you sort of start backing off in terms of your speed, and with that you start losing time as well. Plus that when you're getting onto these kind of bikes, then you really need to spend a lot of time on them, because otherwise you're not going to be good enough on it. There we go. Well, that was one of the road bikes with just a normal time trial handlebars on.
Wilco Kelderman riding the giant bikes, which are known as some of the fastest in time trialing in the peloton, but of course he's riding the road bike, and he is one of the top climbers in the bunch. In fact, we saw quite a few Blanco riders out this morning doing a lot of practice. Valco Mollema was one of them, Luis Leon was another. This is Wilco Kelderman, who's one of the top climbers in the bunch at the minute. Tanel Kanga, Estonian road champion. Let's see what he's made of on the time trial bike. Came into this race on really hot form. Perhaps we expected something slightly better than him, but I mean, this has been a decent performance anyway.
3, 2, 1, look.
8th at the minute, Tanel Kanga. The Estonian is on to the course and out and away. So many differences at so many different points. That's the interesting thing in this time trial. People are going to slow down, catch each other up depending on their abilities.
One interesting thing for a rider like Cameron Meyer here is that he's the first man in the top 10, which means that he should have his nearest rider that's starting in front of him should be only a minute ahead of him, which could give him quite a good little sort of viewing point in terms of chasing a rider down, and it always helps if you've got something to focus on and try and catch that one, and as soon as you catch that person you want to sort of try and spot the next one and go for that again.
Talking of catching people, Jean-Christophe Perrault very, very quickly there. He's a former French time trial champion, of course, and he's gone a little faster already than Johan Schopp.
And the man who's riding two complete open wheels on the flat. So, you know, like I said, you'd see so many different sort of compositions and combinations of bikes and wheels and things that, you know, throughout this day. And Perrault has obviously gone for the climbing wheels on the flat with, so, you know, some clip-ons.
30 Sekunden.
Dan Martin.
Dan looking very relaxed as he takes to the time trial gate. Well, if you're a Dan Martin fan, or if you want to write in with your predictions and possibilities, remember it's at Magnus Bagstad on Twitter or at Rob Hatch TV if you want to get your opinions across and join the conversation. Long afternoon of exciting and perhaps tense waits here as we get to the top. Andy Kloeden leads at the moment. A real danger to these guys on general classification now. Here's Wilco Kelderman, who's caught the couple of riders who are in front of him from Katusha. Kelderman, who had both Vorganov a minute before him, Gusev 2 minutes after him as well. Now Jesus Herrada. Oh, it's going to be close. Oh dear. Well, it shows the exact same time.
On the 100th of a second, that
was a close one for Andy Kloeden. Jesus Herrada. Well, he can climb like a dream. He can time trial fairly well as well. We've seen that in Spain, and Movistar, one of the teams, was really working on the time trialing this year. I think with Alex Dowsett's arrival as well, that has really helped them a very lot. Well, look at this. Jesus Herrada and Andy Kloeden, according to our timing equipment here, dead cert. We'll have to see how it goes down in the breakdown to the hundredths and tenths and whatever, thousandths of a second if necessary. We wait for news. At the minute, a dead drawn 29.446 kilometres per hour average. I think the organisers and the timing people might be hoping that someone beats them just to save a bit of embarrassment. Back to that in a moment. This, though, is a very, very big sight here. TJ Van Garderen, well, his teammates in the yellow jersey. Van Garderen still over a minute back, but with a magic ride, could really do some damage here today. You could be looking at a man that could challenge his own teammate for the win today.
Yeah, I certainly think he will be very dangerous for the individual win on the stage, but also for the general classification. And you know, I think it'd almost be good to settle down. I think the Swiss media anyway, because there was a fair bit of controversy going on.
Just a bit
after the other day when basically TJ left. Matthias Frank alone, in their eyes anyway, and you know, it was kind of, they needed to do this, make sure that they had a backup just in case Matthias wasn't up to the game, and yeah.
Johnny Aguirre setting the new fastest time after 20 kilometres, 21.9 to be exact, a little quicker than Michael Albazini. This is Johan Schopp in the meantime. Nice quiet roads we travel along today, away from the hustle and bustle of the big arrival yesterday. Peter Sagan winning that yet again. This though is about a battle against both the clock and your rivals at the same time. And with Van Garderen out, just Mollema, Pinot, Kreuziger, Costa and Frank remain the top 5 in the next 10 minutes. We'll be out on the course and we'll be watching everybody, and the final part of this Tour de Suisse about to be played out. Now then, Sky have had a very, very poor week. No apologies for stating the obvious again. Josh Edmondson has put in a very good performance though today. Edmondson and Dombrowski saving face a little towards the end of the week, I think, for the team. They put in some decent performances when perhaps more was expected of John Tiernan. Now then, Jesus Herrada is at the winner's enclosure, and at the minute we've still got them perfectly positioned. However, I can tell you that out of your picture that's just changed. Jeremy Waugh has set the new fastest time, we are told. In the meantime, that's Bauke Mollema. Peter Velets, 14 minutes 36 down. Slovakian national time trial champion. Comes from a very, very strong cycling family, as you'll know if you follow Omega Pharma Quickstep. Velets brothers, a big combination. They're one of 9 sets of brothers in the World Tour peloton. Now we're not seeing the other Slovakian at the moment on screen, but perhaps we should get a motorbike phoning, because Magnus has just been checking out the timing equipment next to us, and on the way up at the time check, I can tell you at 25.8 kilometres, very, very close to the arrival, he has set the second fastest time so far. Interesting to see exactly what happens, and here he comes. Peter Sagan is going to be in with a great shout here of setting the fastest time. Who would have thought it? He was climbing like a dream earlier on in the week. The first stage he won had a heck of a lot of climbing in it, and Peter Sagan, just to make sure that if anybody had any doubt about his points jersey performance this week, is going to take the lead in this stage today. Sagan beating Kluden, beating Herrada, beating Waugh, and now taking the fastest time. Not just taking it, but smashing it by over 20 seconds. Peter Sagan is an absolute phenomenon.
And in super, super form as well. Watch out, everyone, by the time we get to the Tour de France. This man is on fire.
Absolutely speechless. Wow. Well, let's get back to the general classification, Joe, because that's going to take some beating. Even if he doesn't win the stage today, that is some ride by Sagan. Now, Thibaut Pinot looking at bigger objectives as far as the yellow jersey and the general classification is concerned. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that he could do something here. He goes into this stage 4th. Now then, Matteo Montaguti coming to the line himself as well. He had set a slightly faster time than Peter Sagan, but Sagan in the final part of this climb has bettered Montaguti, and Montaguti at the minute riding himself into second place. Another very, very good ride from the Italian who rides for AG de la Mondiale. Well, this is starting to get interesting and exciting.
It certainly is.
Well, you'd have put money on Sagan in the first stage of the week to win the time trial, certainly. Nice, fast, out and about town, fairly flat. 2 minutes have passed since we saw Pino take off, and we're ready for Ramon Kreuziger. Deep breath from Kreuziger. Change of bike, remember, for him. We already saw that. He's told us himself what he's going to do. He thought it was difficult. Again, it almost had the surprised look on himself when we asked him how it was.
Well, when he rode up it earlier, and you know, I was just looking at some of the numbers, and just to get himself up here in quite a comfortable pace, he was well over 250 watts to get up there, and you know, it's certainly a tough climb.
Another strong Azure Desert performance, 17 seconds back from Christophe Riblon. Well done to him.
Tell you what, the final kilometre that Peter Sagan has made is quite spectacular.
Well, he was down on Montaguti and all the rest of them, wasn't he? And he's made up a lot of time. They beat the best time so far by 20 seconds as well from Jeremy Watt. It's nice to see Jeremy Watt not winning something, actually. It's quite a funny story about him. I've been Stravaing a few of the rides this week. Every time I seem to go up a climb, guess who's got the KOM? I don't know whether he's been using his race data around Switzerland and putting that up on Strava, but he's the top man. He's got every single climb that we've been up this week, Jeremy Watt. So either, Jeremy, you've been doing some top training around these roads, or you've been being a bit sly and putting your race data up there. Please send in your answer. Now, Cameron Meyer, back to the serious stuff. Peter Velets trying to break the intermediate time set by Ioni Zaguirre. That was at 21.9 kilometres up there, and of course Zaguirre, with his Basque blood, can be expected to climb a bit, so look out for him when he comes towards the end. Velets 1.41 seconds down, so he himself also in with a shout as we get to the top. It's good, the riding getting better and better as the afternoon goes on. 13 seconds is the amount that this man has to make up on Matthias Frank, and worry about whatever might come from behind as well. Rui Costa, winner in 2012 of the Tour de Suisse, winner of a stage already de la Punta on stage 7 this week, hoping for a stage 9 performance that will take him into the yellow jersey on the final day.
I think he's going to have his work cut out to take this one out. You know, it's there's a lot of strong riders, and certainly you know, one of the better ones is right. You know, he's only a couple of seconds behind. I think it's 10 seconds on the general classification in Roman Kreuziger.
Back with Spilak. Again, look at this scenery. People out on the road everywhere, by the way, and not just Swiss fans. They've come from all over. We've seen the Peter Sagan fan club yet again. They rode up on their bikes.
Yep.
And they weren't the lightest of bikes. They had put in a real effort there today. Carried the flags on their back and everything. Rode up all together as a family, which was rather nice, with the big Sagan hats on that you've seen at the podium presentations this week. Seen Aussie fans about. Cam Meyer.
Yeah.
We've seen Portuguese yet again for Rui Costa. Such a great variety of nationalities and different fans from all over the world who have made their way to this race. A moment's preparation for a very pensive looking Matthias Frank, who needs the ride of his life now.
I was going to say, it's probably the most important 50 odd minutes of riding that he's done in his career so far that's lying ahead of him.
TJ Van Gardner and his teammate, 6th on GC before today, 1 minute and 17 seconds down. Awaiting his first time checks. Of course, still on the flat here. He's a man, though, who we can expect to make a difference on both. Final countdown for the final ride of the week for Matthias Frank. Has to be the best one, has to be the biggest one of his career, and what would bring him the biggest moment of perhaps his whole career to come. It's the Tour de Suisse, his home tour. He leads and has an optimum opportunity to take this, but he's going to need something very special. Now, Magnus, we know that on paper, if he didn't have that yellow jersey on, he would not be the favourite here. But that yellow jersey can do funny things to your mind.
Well, it certainly can. If you get out there on the road today and straight away you're getting some good feedback coming back from the car, you know that he's holding even with Costa and Roman Kreuziger, then you know all of a sudden that yellow jersey is just going to really be almost dragging him up this climb. And you know, certainly he will have enough support going up here as well. So it's a question of whether he can hold his calm as well on this climb, because with so many people out here watching, you know, when you come in there, you get that little bit excited and you just go that little bit too hard. And today is all about making sure that your power output stays exactly where it needs to be and not going over, not going under. It's just very controlled effort going up this climb.
Good effort from Cam Myers so far. Fourth at the time check after 16.5 kilometres. The man leading that time check is Andre Amador. But when you look at the riders who've come up well on the climb, not too many of them have been up on that time check. It's all on the climb where they've made their differences. Even the likes of Peter Sagan.
Even him, yeah, exactly. But you know, it's a good, strong, solid start by Cameron Meyer, and I would expect him to do that. So, you know, the next time check is going to be quite important to see, you know, and also whether he does a bike change or not.
Now, Bauke Mollema. We've got our own little timing set up here at 7.8 kilometres thanks to Swiss TV. Right under our little banner there. Difference between TJ Van Garderen and Bauke Mollema at the minute, 14.44 seconds, and that just 7 kilometres in. So TJ riding quickly, Bauke not quite as quickly, but look at the differences on the general classification. TJ has that much more to make up. Bauke Mollema only 40 odd seconds down. 46 seconds down is Bauke Mollema, so yeah, he still has pretty much the same gap again. Now Arnaud Genesson has a real chance to better Peter Sagan's time here. 200 metres from the finish. Oh, he's struggling. Got time though. Needs to make sure he rides hard into the finish now. Surely he knows he's within a shot. They must be shouting at him in his ear. Arnaud Genesson for a big bit of fame at the moment. Might not be the winning time at the end of the day, but he still has to ride hard to make sure he's got it. Genesson will beat the time set by Peter Sagan, and Genesson leads by 7.58 seconds. Wow. Well, that saved us an afternoon wondering about the wonderful capabilities of Sagan again and how they're able to better everybody else. Genesson takes the lead, and we are now with Bauke Mollema. Looking down, and it looks as though Genesson was the best a kilometre from the line as well. Better than Montaguti, 13 seconds better than Sagan, so with just a 7-second gap at the line, it shows you how good that last kilometre from Sagan was.
Yeah, certainly the probably the fastest final kilometre.
Now here we go, Thibaut Pinot. Let's see where he is in our little bit of timing. Oh, he looks faster than Bauke Mollema at the moment. We shall see.
Only just
13 seconds down on TJ Van Garderen though, who started better than any of the other top six.
Yeah, we kind of expected that though, because you know, to be fair, Thibaut Pinot is not a time trial specialist, certainly not on the flat. You know, we all know he's a strong rider and he can go well uphill, but they don't put as much emphasis on time trialing in the La Française des Jeux team. Someone like Bauke Mollema though, you know, in terms of equipment and in terms of setup on the bike and all that, you know, they are certainly one of the teams that take this very, very seriously indeed, and you would kind of expect him to be, you know, there or thereabouts, kind of holding, maybe not equal but not far off anyway.
Scarpo down on Yonizaire. Still has 5 kilometres to the arrival, 34.91 seconds down, so Scarpo is going to have to climb like an absolute dream if he's going to do anything today.
Didn't look like he was putting 100% effort into that either, so...
This is the base of the climb, by the way. This little Haribo banner, just where it starts to go uphill slightly out of Flumes, the town.
Yeah, Kangen.
And just to see if we can spot any of these back changes as well now.
Yes, if someone has nailed the change and got it really just so perfect.
Well, carrying on for the moment. You can see that Astana car, perhaps they're thinking of stopping. Got the impression that somebody was ready to take their seatbelt off and get out the car then. This in the meantime is Kreuziger, who has told us he will change, remember. Just making his way now to our little time check. Remember, start of the day, 23 seconds back on the leader of the general classification, Matthias Frank. Where is he in relation to TJ Van Garderen at the start of this time trial?
We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, finally. There you go, 15.7 seconds down. So, Bauke Mollema riding better than he is.
Yeah, they're kind of just about keeping even there, Mollema and Kreuziger.
Now then, Ioannis Aguirre could be about to put himself on that podium as the top man for the moment.
Well, he's 30 seconds ahead almost on the last intermediate.
And Ioannis Aguirre of Spain, the Basque Country and Euskaltel Euskadi, 26 seconds ahead of Arnaud Genesson. And I think that is a time that's going to take some beating.
I think so too. That's a strong performance, and you know, I think you can still make up an awful lot of time if you go well on the climb rather than how well you go down on the flat.
Yeah, if you don't go well on the climb, you'll really suffer today, and the heat's going to make it that much worse, I think.
Yeah.
It is a very warm day, perhaps the warmest since we've been here, I think. Bauke Mollema.
Not that we're complaining.
No, certainly not from our point of view. It's no coincidence that we haven't ridden our bike, probably for the first time this week as well today. That and the fact that we've got to do a bit of a rally drive to the airport after this one.
Yeah.
Now then, Rui Costa looks to be riding fairly well. Let's see how the time ticks away in comparison to TJ Van Garderen. From what I can see here is that Rui Costa is riding better than Kreuziger, riding better than Mollema, and not riding too dissimilar to TJ Van Garderen. Just 2.61 seconds at the start, and that's a very good start for the Movistar man.
Very solid. Wonder whether he's been sort of kept in terms of times on TJ over the first part of this course, and you know, with that, has it gone too hard?
Here's his teammate. He's a man who we tipped for the odd opportunity at a stage win this week, and look at that. We said that Ioannis Aguirre's time would take some beating. Now Andre Amador's got to climb for the next 5 kilometres. He's still got a lot of work to do, but he has 30 seconds on this latest and last time check. 21.9 kilometres in, and the Costa Rican there, well, riding absolutely fantastically.
Well, he's certainly done a very good start to this ride. You know, it's what, 5 kilometres up to climb now, and it's 30 seconds ahead.
And he's got the bike change in as well.
Yeah.
Movistar have got some slick changing going on. TJ Van Garderen about to come up to the point where if he is going to change bike, he's about to do it. And you might expect him to do that. Look at this. Van Garderen, quicker even than Amador. And if he continues at this pace, the others can't live with him, then we might be looking at least a podium for TJ Van Garderen.
Be interested to know what his how his pacing strategy is, whether he's opened up fully on the flat or whether he's just cruised it and waiting to really put the power down on the climb here.
If he's done that, everyone's in trouble.
Well, you know, he's that good in terms of time trialing on the flat to be able to cruise and hold these guys at a, you know, at an arm's length just about. But we just don't know.
Wow. Matthias Frank not riding too badly at the start. We shall see.
He still has round about 10-12 seconds to get up there, so he's, in terms of TJ's time, is a little bit behind.
A little bit behind. The worrying thing for him, he's behind Rui Costa as well. At the minute, there's a few seconds to play with. He's lost 8 seconds on the first section to Rui Costa, and that, well, won't be alarm bells yet, because of course he will know that he can climb, but his team might be just making sure that he at least keeps this pace up. He cannot take his foot off the gas. Look at this, virtual general classification on the right hand side, and that means Matthias Frank at this pace would be winning by just 5 seconds. However, there's a long way to go, and of course we've seen that riders are really putting their foot down at different points in the course as well.
Yeah, they certainly do. You know, looking at the time gap as well, you know, Matthias Frank has done a good ride up until this point. Is the only time person who's really lost any time to is Rui Costa, and obviously TJ. But TJ is that much further back in terms of general classification.
So Matthias Frank, this is the Tour de Suisse. This is the race that he wants to win. Chris Feyou can climb a mad in a tip. Soyerson man now with the French team, and he's going to put in a decent time as well. Well done to him. Big guy as well.
Oh, tall, but there's not much of him.
Malcolm Mollema. Wow. Well, we thought that he might be one to look at today, but that is not the sort of start that he wants.
No, but if you're looking at the average speed up until that point as well, it takes a special type of rider to be able to hold that kind of average pace going. 51, just over 51 kilometers an hour.
Janez Brajkovic. Not quite as fast as Amador at the moment, but he can climb, and he's one to watch out for as we go up here. Remember, we've already seen with Sagan that the differences can change even up to the last kilometre.
Yeah, well, we're expecting a little bit more of Janez Brajkovic from the start of this race. You know, that was kind of with the Tour coming up and him being one of the Tour the leaders for the Astana team. We're expecting just that little bit more at this point in time. You know, even if he's not on super form, just be able to be up there or thereabouts.
Bit of energy for him.
Yeah.
Whatever he can get for the last part. I think he just thrown that in the direction of Jon Schop as well.
Chucked it in the front wheel.
So, time checks. Van Garderen leading at 16.5 kilometres by a second from Amador. He's yet to cross the second time check, at which Amador still leads. This is now Matthias Frank. Remember, we did our own little television time checks that you saw on our screen, and he just about, at the moment, without anything else factored in, is holding on, but there is a long way to go for Matthias Frank. I'd say if TJ Van Garderen does the time trial of his life and overtakes some wins, there's going to be a Swiss media storm to write home about, I can tell you. So, Peter Velits got work to do here. It's not going to be easy against Jonis Aguirre. He was just behind, 11 seconds behind in fact, at a kilometre to go. He's into the last 100 metres. It's a last 100 metres that is pretty hellish, I can tell you, before it slightly levels out with about 20 metres to go. And I'm afraid Peter Velits isn't going to be good enough to take the top time on the day. Nevertheless, though, it has been a bit of a storming performance from the Slovakian, and one that, although disappointing in the end in terms of result, he can be very proud about.
Well, I don't think he'll be disappointed with that ride. You know, it's against Izagirre. I mean, you would expect a rider like that to be performing on this kind of a ride.
Thibaut Pinot quicker than Malcolm Mollema.
Yeah.
So he's defending his own place. Nicolas Roche, Irish rider of French extraction as well. Of course, running against his cousin Dan Martin, who's just down the road from him, not too far away. 30 seconds back to Andre Amador for Roche. They're coming through at a similar time to Scarponi. Here is Matthias Frank. Expect to see much more of the 26-year-old rider from Luxisville. Remember, had a good Tour of California this year. TJ Van Garderen won that event, but Frank finished fourth.
Obviously after doing a fair bit of work for TJ out there, so
Yeah, and I think that's a heck of a lot of what the Swiss media storm was about. You know, that's how you repay me, is it? That sort of thing. But I mean, Matthias Frank has saved his best performances for this race in the history of his career so far. He was the best Swiss rider last year in the race. 6th overall at the Tour de Suisse a couple of years ago as well. And is a previous winner of both sprint and mountains classification at this race.
Miguel Kreuziger coming up to the next time check.
Here is Kreuziger. It's not great news for him. He's riding the worst of the lot of the GC contenders so far.
40 seconds.
And that's a man who is strong in the TT discipline. Very, very strong indeed.
Well, looking back at it, yeah, he has been performing all right in time trials, but Dan Martin obviously it still looks like he's going on his time trial bike. No, that's a road bike with clip-ons.
He's in the TT position on the road bike. So he's obviously had head change. Dan Martin pedalling away, and on the climbing section, expecting to be up there with the best here.
Yeah, you'd expect him to put in a strong performance on the final 10 kilometres up to the finish here.
I wonder what gear ratio he's using here, because there's a lot of cadence going on. I know that you said that down the years and down the history, there's been a big switch in style of riders on the climbs and the gear ratios they use.
Yeah, you know, it's everything changes and develops and goes on further, and you know, also we've got to say that the availability of different gear ratios is far greater now when we got 11 speed on all of these bikes, whereas, you know, back in sort of late 90s, you know, there was 8 speed, 9 speed, and you know, with that you can really get too many different gear ratios on here. But you know, today we're probably looking at these guys probably around about 40 and probably a 26 on the back, something like that.
Rui Costa has made it so much more difficult for TJ van Garderen now. Just 10 seconds he lost on that part. Remember, TJ van Garderen still has to make up more than a minute to Rui Costa if he's going to do something on the climb. It all depends, as you say, how he's planned his ride, how he attacks the climb, and well, however he's planned it, now he knows that it needs to change and it needs to be aggressive on the climb on the way up.
Yeah, I think, you know, the problem here is being that if TJ is putting in a strong ride, if Rui Costa's been matched against TJ, then he's going out really hard and maybe sort of blowing himself on the flat, you know, just completely spending all his energy on the flat. That then has a repercussion coming back to Matthias Frank as well, who will be trying to match Costa. You know, so by the time they get to the climb, you know, have they spent everything they got, or are they, you know, still going to be okay?
Cam Meyer, 22.94 seconds behind Andre Amador on the 5 kilometre to go check. We are waiting, not too distant future, to see Amador up towards the end of the part of this climb. Here's TJ van Garderen in the meantime, 1 minute and 17 seconds to his teammate who leads the race, Matthias Frank. Matthias Frank, remember, who has never ever won a stage race of any kind in his career.
Oh,
now,
bad change.
Long change.
Really?
Very long change.
That was not very well planned.
Rui Costa might have a few words to say to his team after doing all of that hard work. We shall see. He's very much in the hunt for the overall victory, though, you have to say. So out of your picture, Wilco Kelderman's just come across the line. As has Gusev and Volganov. Kelderman down in 49th place. Nothing to write home about. Now, what is the relation here as a gel goes quickly into the mouth of Matthias Frank? Only 23 seconds down on TJ van Garderen. Question is, again, as Magnus just stated, how much has been put into that first part by this man? How much does he have left?
Yeah, there is that, and also he's got an opportunity, or how should I say, his team as an organisation has an opportunity to bring back a certain amount of time on Da Costa just with the bike change, because that was a terrible bike change from the Movistar team. If BMC has got these nailed and got it working better, he's got an opportunity to bring back a bit.
That graphic on the right hand side at the minute, as things stand, show that there's just 1 second between these two.
Yeah.
1 second between Frank and Rui Costa, even with the bad bike change. We shall see.
Wonder when this change is going to come for Matthias Frank. They all seem to be changing round about the same position just after this corner up here.
Now, watch for the cars, watch for the quick action. Here we go. It's at that little sign where the post office thing is, where everybody's changed. Got to be got down from the roof quickly.
That was quicker.
Better,
Run.
better than that of Rui Costa, but there's still work to do. And again, you just wonder, is it worth it? Surely it has to be.
It definitely is. It definitely is worth it. You know, it's you're looking at difference in weight of probably the better part of 2.5 kilos with the wheels, and well, maybe even more than that on some bikes, and certainly with the wheels that and the bike that he's riding here now, that you know, it is going to be right at the very, very weight limit that the UCI allows it to be. Whereas the TT bike, you know, you're looking at just the wheels themselves, probably around about 600-700 grams by the time you're done with it. So yeah, it's a massive improvement.
Tanel Kanga riding quicker, and very much quicker than Andrea Amador. 19.17 seconds is the difference. So he's a name to look out for. Now, Michele Scarponi. He's put in a good time. Not too far away from Johnny Aguirre, who still leads. Third at the minute. Not good enough on the day. And as you said before, didn't look to be giving it all.
Well, it certainly does now, doesn't it? I think it's one of those climbs that really sort of gets to you. You don't really need to go and chase the fatigue on the climb. You know, it kind of comes back to you instead. Just find your, you know, get into your rhythm and hold that, and you'll get to the point where you're flat out anyway.
Rui Costa, the number one on his back, is defending champion of this race. 13 seconds he has to make up on Matthias Frank, and at the time checks you've seen so far, he now just has 1 second to make up. Interesting to see how this is going to play out in the final climb. Remember, there are other people involved as well. Matthias Frank trying his best to keep himself hydrated, but it is a very hot afternoon. Still, just gone 5:15 in the afternoon. The heat is pretty strong. The scenery is pretty stunning as well. Can't remember too many time trials with such beautiful views.
No, I don't think he'll be looking at much else than that little screen that he's got right in front of his handlebar. That is, you know, his meal ticket today. Basically, it's he'll know exactly what numbers to sit on, and he'll keep that until a certain point in the ride within the last 2 kilometers, and then just edge it up ever so slightly if he still can.
TJ Van Gardner and his teammate keeping those pedals turning. There's been a lot of amateurs come up here this morning. So many people on bikes, it was great. Whatever their ability or skill, they're all giving it a go. Some obviously taking longer than others, but there's many people who have got here to the top. There's also a huge cable car wait that you can get up to the top here with as well. There's shuttle buses on, there's a heck of a lot of people, and you can even go further up the mountain, can't you, mate?
Yeah, we decided to take the chairlift up and go luging for a bit, summer luge.
That was interesting.
It was quite good fun, wasn't it?
Really? These guys might be a little too tired to do that afterwards, though.
Yeah.
Save it for another day.
Well, he had to be tried.
Rui Costa trying his best to retake the yellow jersey that he came here wearing on the first day.
It'd be impressive if he can defend his title. You know, it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, apart from that opening day, he hasn't been in yellow a week. He's just sat there, waited and waited and waited. He took his stage win the other day.
Yeah.
Brought quite a few seconds back on Matthias Frank. He set up this beautiful Sunday as it is anyway. Now, Andrea Amador, I'm afraid, is definitely going to take this from Jon Izaguirre. What a ride. Poor Yoni Zaire, who thought that it was going to be the biggest win of his career, but Andre Amador, who we've seen on the big stage several times now, 44 seconds better than that. We were wondering if that was going to be beaten earlier on, but Andre Amador has absolutely shattered it.
That is a big ride by anyone. You know, to put 45 seconds into someone like Izaguirre is definitely a special ride, but I think we still might see some quicker riders coming in.
Well, Tanel Kanga holds the best time at 21.9 kilometres so far. TJ Van Gardren's going to be a little slower than him.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to be too much slower than Kanga though, because it's only about 20 seconds between the two on the general classification.
Well, we're going to be talking 14.8 seconds slower than Kanga at the minute, so TJ needs to up his game in the final 5 kilometres. So intriguing, this. The game changing all the time as we get the various time checks. It's nice to be on a course where we can see several checks as well and see the real differences in the various sections we've seen taken. Okay, that Jean-Christophe Perrault is going to be the next man across the line. For the minute though, we go back to the last man, Matthias Frank. Question is, will be allowed to be wearing yellow again after it? It's looking like a very, very difficult proposition, I'm afraid. So if they all come through that 21 kilometre time check, we're going to get a bigger idea every time how things are going. Bauke Mollema, the latest to go through that check. Well, he's coming up to that check right now, but we get a bit of a sneak peek at the time, a kilometre before. And I can tell you that Bauke Mollema is riding slower at the minute than Van Garderen, than Amador and than Brajkovic.
I think he's actually bringing back a bit of time though, because he was further out than that before.
Thibaut Pinot not going with his full aero helmet.
No, I think on this climb, you know, he'll be very, very hot indeed, and you'll be sweating an awful lot. So even with an open helmet, I think you'll still be sweating a lot. You can see the guys coming in here; they're completely.
So Jean-Christophe Perrault racing to the line to try and get better than Andre Amador. Oof. My, oh my, oh my. 0.6 seconds quicker. Heartbreak for the Costa Rican, delight for the former French TT champion. This is what we were telling you about a moment ago. Bauke Mollema, 29.27 seconds slower than Kanga. So he's got a bit back on those losses.
But we've got to remember that TJ Van Garderen was only 15 seconds. He was 15 seconds behind Kanga.
Make your own conclusions. This is where the mathematics start to get a little mind-boggling.
No. It's Bauke Mollema has brought back time on TJ Van Garderen since the bottom of the climb, and seems to be going quite strongly.
We shall see how it plays out. Tanel Kanga in the meantime, 1 minute 43 before today. 8th, hoping to at least conserve his place, if not bump up 1 or 2.
Yeah, if he keeps on riding the way he was, then I think he'll be jumping quite a few places up.
And as Brajkovic isn't going to be the stage winner today. Coming in just in front of Johan Chop. Chop also not really troubling those at the top of the scoreboard or on the podium too much. Brajkovic 24 seconds slower, as you can see by that image there. The effort's taken quite a bit out of him.
TJ looks like he's labouring here.
He's getting towards the hardest section of this as well now. Gradients really do ramp up in the final 4, 3, 2 kilometres. Matthias Frank. Good cadence at least.
Yeah, he's still turning over a good gear there, and it's certainly not an easy thing to do when you're sitting on a climb like this. You so want to just drop that one a little more and just get a little bit more pressure on your legs. But if you can keep the cadence up, then that is by far the more economical way of riding, and probably the fastest as well.
Thibaut Pinot, 38 seconds down on Tanel Kanga. Needs to climb better if he's to improve his own position. Now these lads, they've been at every stage all week. We've ridden past them most week, and they're big Matthias Frank fans, as you can see. Surely every little bit of encouragement is going to help this man on the way. You can see already in that shot the vertical climbing that he's already done. It's a long way up, big drop down, hence the reason that there's a big cable car from the town just at the bottom here. We're back with Rui Costa at the minute. Looks behind.
Yeah, I think he wants to know what's happening behind him as well, because he was sort of signalling to his team car to, let me know where I'm going. How am I holding up against Matthias Frank here? Where are we?
This is the answer that we're getting on screen. Frank out onto the pedals. The Swiss flags wave. And a sweat continues to drip off him. It is such a hot day, and he himself has gone for the aero helmet. So there'll be some big temperatures under there.
Definitely, but he unclipped the visor and turned that up again, so when he started climbing, he at least doesn't have the visor in front of his face.
Another kilometre chalked off. Be counting those checkpoints, certainly hoping that none of them fall down like the other day. I think they will have been checked and double checked today, and the good news is there ain't much wind about.
There's hardly any wind about today. It's absolutely gorgeous day.
Back with Roman Kreuziger. Just under 22 kilometres into his ride. And this is him in relation to Tanel Kanga. 39.25 down. His speed up to now, an average of 39.56.
I think he's brought back a little bit of time on TJ since the bottom of the climb, because that very same gap to TJ right as a turn into the climb, and now it is to Tanel, who is leading by 15 seconds over TJ.
Sebastian Reichenbach over the line out of your picture. Instructions finally getting through to Rui Costa as he demanded. Throws a bottle under his own car there. Got his game face on, he's concentrated. Has a huge opportunity again here. Ridden himself into a fantastic position in this race, and as we said all week long, he's had no shortage of Portuguese supporters along the line. Just looking at the commentary box window now, without even having to make an effort, I can see 2 Portuguese flags. And our field of view isn't great. We can see from left to right perhaps around 30-40 metres. Great presence, and there'll be big cheers for this guy if he can do it. Now, this man means business, and you might well be just looking at the winner of the Tour de Suisse again, 2013. Long way to go, still 5 kilometres for him, but not too much slower than the man setting the best time up the course so far.
No, certainly not, and he's turned that deficit to TJ around, and he's now leading him. So
climbing better than the rest, quite simply.
Has the man in yellow had anything to respond with?
I wonder if he knows.
I guess we'll find out in around about 2 minutes.
If you're his DS here, do you put even more pressure on him by really shouting it? How do you get the message across that you're not going so well and something needs to change?
Completely depends on the rider's character.
They have to manage it, I'm sure.
You can't, you can't sort of do the same kind of rider management and give them the same type of time gaps and work that in the same way with every rider. For me, I'd rather them just told me exactly what was going on, what time gaps I had to the riders that I needed to know about, and then let me deal with all the with how much I can punish myself on the bike. but I know other riders would like them to give them a bit of a wide lie in terms of where they are, to spur them on a little bit more. Certain riders, you just tell them that okay, you're 2 seconds behind, but you're going strong, you're bringing time back, and that will spur them on. Other riders, you say, look, you're 2 seconds ahead, you need to keep on pushing to see if we can build on this gap. So it's just, you know, different mentalities on and how you react to different messages.
Not always the truth.
Yeah, I preferred just knowing exactly what was going on, and you know, if I was far behind, and I knew there would be a reason for it, and I knew that I might be making time up later on.
Roman Korziger, Czech superstar, winner of Amstel Gold this year already. TJ is not looking like TJ at the minute.
He's not looking strong. He's really, but potentially have got too big a gear on. Underestimated the climb.
Well, like a lot of riders we saw riding it early on, but you presume that TJ's already ridden this today.
I would have thought so, yeah. I mean, it would be a little bit silly not to have done it. And we've just had Cam Meyer crossing the line, actually, 1 minute and 6 down on Jean-Christophe Perrault.
Interested to see what he can do as far as his top 10 place is concerned. That was his aim at the start of the week. Might still be in a position to do so. We shall see.
I think there'll be a few riders going up and down here.
Now, this is the moment we were waiting for, and Matthias Frank, well, no other way of saying this, but he's losing quite spectacularly the Tour de Suisse yellow jersey.
Yeah, I mean, it's the better part of 40 seconds that he's lost there.
What a turnaround. This man had 13 to make up. At the minute, he leads by, as you say, 40 seconds, almost a minute in turnaround, and we're not even at the top yet.
No, and Kreuziger is going okay there as well, so you know, there's only 6 seconds between Matthias Frank and Kreuziger, so there's an awful lot left to be ridden for.
Simon Spilak has put in a very good time trial performance today uphill. He's going to give it a little sprint to get over the line as well, just to try and achieve his best. And he comes at 23.57 seconds down on Jean-Christophe Perrault, who sits at the top waiting, wondering to see if he's going to be allowed on the podium as the winner. Matthias Frank, long way off that. Again, he needs to put in more effort, but if there's just nothing left, then what can he do? Rui Costa, the man, 40 seconds at the minute his lead. The only thing that could put him in trouble here is if he's put too much effort early on in and he starts to blow it. We shall see. There's still a bit of climbing to go. This, in the meantime, is Tanguy Kanga, and look out for him, because at a kilometre to go towards the line, he was 23 seconds quicker than the stage leader so far. Let's see where he goes. Jean-Christophe Perrault's time of 52.38.38 is the one to beat. Tanguy Kanga has half a minute in which to get over the line. He came into this race looking so good from the Giro d'Italia. Finally, he puts himself in a position to take a stage win, and another 21 seconds shaved over this. Disappointment for Jean-Christophe Perrault, who now, rather disappointingly for him, can get on his bike and roll down the mountain with a pretty unhappy face. This man, though, can stop to think about celebrating.
Well, I think he can. Yeah, it's going to take a special ride by someone to bridge that gap, and you know, he looks strong all the way up to the top as well. So I guess we'll find out. Dan Martin has just gone through that checkpoint down there as well, with a kilometre to go, at 1 minute and 19 seconds behind.
So the challenge isn't going to come from Dan. Roman Korziger, 3 kilometres to go for him. The only challenge could perhaps be from this man, Rui Costa.
Yeah.
Costa was 4 seconds slower than Tanguy at 20.9 kilometres into this ride.
I think Rui Costa is at that point right now where it just starts getting that little bit steeper. The last 3-4 kilometres is just ramps up little by little, and it just gets steeper and steeper and steeper up to the final kilometre, and You need to have saved a little bit until that part.
I just wanted to ask you, how does Rui Costa manage this now? Because he has this 40-second gap. Does he just continue going and going and going, or does he play it, what I consider to be fairly intelligently? Does he manage it, manage his own effort, and then if he needs an extra push again towards the end, go harder? Or can you not do that?
I think he's got his rhythm. He's in a rhythm where he's comfortable. Okay, when I say comfortable, I mean it hurts quite badly, but you know, he's found that way where he's pedaling, and that's where he's at now. So if he was to change that, try and back off a little bit, then he's likely to lose the rhythm and start hurting even more. So don't, you know, it's like the saying, don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's kind of where he's at the moment. Just keep on plugging away until he feels that, you know, okay, this might be just a little bit too much at this very given point, and then back off. As long as he knows the time gaps, just hold on a little bit if he feels like he's starting to hurt.
Looks pretty strong to me, and the gradient is pretty steep here.
Oh, he's riding very well.
Just starting to get an impression of the gradient. It's not always easy on TV, but looking where people are standing at the road and the height difference, that's where you start to see it. Here's Matthias Frank, who I'm afraid, if you're a Swiss fan, isn't going to win the Tour de Suisse. It's getting towards that stage now where
I think that's a fair call.
Unless something changes rather dramatically, then I'm afraid his stint in yellow is over, and it's going to be the case of oh so nearly. We shall see. It's not over till it's over, as they say. Rui Costa continues on. Here now is Dan Martin. Been a decent ride nonetheless. Certainly this time an hour or so ago would have been very much good enough to take the lead. 1:10 down on Tano Kanga. Well, TJ Van Garderen, a kilometre to go. Now 500 metres to go, and he is 54 seconds slower than Tamal Kanga. So not looking at a huge change for him either today.
No, definitely not. And he's, you know, he came in to the bottom of this climb in the clear lead and a clear favourite for the stage win, but has lost well over a minute on Tamal Kanga.
Ryan Korziger looking to be labouring a little now. Hasn't been the most comfortable of days for him either. I think we saw signs very much on stage 7 that Kreuziger was starting to slip away a little. The kind of the Albula pass.
Well, Kanga was 11 seconds behind TJ at the bottom of the climb.
A couple of riders on their way back down actually stopped to watch this. One of the I Am riders at the side of the road there looking at Matthias Frank on his bike on his way down, giving him a shout or two. I've seen a couple of the BMC boys as well on the way up, shouting encouragement at TJ. The cowbells ring for Matthias Frank. And here is TJ Van Garderen. Look at the effort on that face. He struggled today. He has hurt very much indeed. TJ Van Garderen isn't going to turn this one around, and is going to be nowhere near the stage win. Almost a minute down in the end on Tamal Kanga. 57.95 seconds, 30.2 kilometers per hour is average, and as he goes out of our shot, he is spent. 5 riders left across the line, one of which is Bauke Mollema. Mollema, who aims on into the line. 40 odd seconds to make up before the start of the day. 200 from the line, and has a chance here. He's done a very, very good last kilometre or so. And this is going to be interesting now. 100 metres to go almost for Bauke Mollema. Has to really fight both himself, the gradient and the bike now. 10 seconds to get over the line for Mollema if he's going to take the stage win. This has been a great recovery in the last part of the ride from Mollema, but I'm afraid it's not going to be good enough for the stage win. It might be good enough, though, to move him up a place on general classification. We shall see.
Maybe even podium.
Well, that was his aim at the start of the week. He told us that very much when he won the stage. One eye out on the time as he came over the line there. Back with Rui Costa. There remain 4 riders now to cross the line. Rui Costa will be the penultimate one. This looks hard here for Matthias Frank. Very, very hard indeed. Remember, he's a rider who can still develop though. He's 26 years of age.
Yeah, I don't think it's the last we've seen of Matthias Frank, definitely not, but I think he would have obviously loved to have taken home his home tour this year, but looking at it, regardless of what happened the other day and obviously what the Swiss newspapers and everyone has been writing about, he's lost too much time in today's mountain time trial for that to have made any kind of difference. So he just have to go away and keep trying again.
Well, he's never in the Tour de France. If you're the DS, do you take him to the Tour here?
Well,
he's had a good ride in California, he's had a good ride in Suisse.
Yeah, from what I've seen here, I think he could be a good car to have with you, and he certainly seems to be strong enough in the mountains as well. And both Cadel and TJ are going to need allies when they get up in the high mountains.
Talking of the high mountains, Rui Costa isn't far away. Again, the road goes up immensely steeply. Look at that. It's not quite Monte Zoncolan, but it's steep enough, this. And you've ridden them both.
Yeah, well, it's always difficult to sort of judge and gauge a time trial in the mountain like this. And certainly when you only, like today we did it in the car up, and you think it doesn't look too bad. It looks, it's sort of steady gradient all the way, but you never really feel it and see the exact changes when you're in a car rather than on the bike.
Final sprint of Thibaut Pinot over the ridge towards the line, and on the day this is going to be good enough for 5th place, 34.25 seconds down on Tanel Kanga. Kreuziger, Rui Costa and Matthias Frank remain on the course. Just minutes to go in the 2013 Tour de Suisse.
Bauke Mollema has at least overtaken Thibaut Pinot in the general classification. The question is what's happening here with Roman Kreuziger.
Kreuziger at the minute is riding for his place on the podium. Simple as that. Rui Costa, I can tell you, with a kilometre to go to the line, might just be on his way to the stage win. Heard a little whisper that he's 13 seconds ahead of Kanga at that section. All depends on what he does in the last kilometre. Remember, we've said already, we saw it with Sagan earlier on, things can change quite dramatically in that last case. So don't get too excited yet if you're a Portuguese fan. However, this might be another double whammy.
Well, what a day to round his, the stage race off on, and if he does, take the stage and walk away with the yellow jersey, then at least there's no questions of who was the best man in this race.
Rui Costa already one stage win to his name. That to La Punte the other day. You can see just over 500 metres to go. Still very, very steep, but he's up the pedals, he's attacking it. In the meantime, Matthias Frank continues to labour. It's hard work. This is torture for him, certainly, if he's in the knowledge of what is happening further along. Now, this is an important time to take, certainly when you consider what's gone on with Bauke Mollema. Roman Kreuziger at the moment fighting for his place on the podium. He's going to be slower than Mollema, 39.3 behind. What's happened there?
Well, Bauke Mollema has officially made his way up onto the podium. The question is which spot he's going to be in. I think he's actually ridden himself into second place.
Now then, Rui Costa, look at this, is in prime position to take both stage and general classification. Last year he won stage 2, hung on to the yellow jersey all the way to the end. This year he won stage 7. He's going to win stage 9, and he is going to win the Tour de Suisse 2013. What a defence this has been, and what a spectacular way to finish it off. No doubts about who's the best here, no doubts about who's the strongest. It's all about Rui Costa. He's going to absolutely smatter the time set by Tano Kanga, and he, by 20 seconds, is the winner of the stage today, and the winner of the 2013 Tour de Suisse. Third win of the year for him after the Classica Primavera and the stage 7 of this race, and now he will wear yellow. For Matthias Frank, it's about damage limitation and keeping a podium place.
Yeah, it's whether he can hold on to the podium or not. That's what he's riding for at this given moment. I mean, looking at Costa versus El Kanget in the final there, Costa put a further 8 seconds into Tano Kanget, in the last bit.
Well, get your breath back and hope for the good of Swiss cycling that this man makes it onto the podium.
I think he deserves it. He's ridden well all week in this fought to stay in there. Certainly not the the stage 7. It was out of there. He was really having to fight. He was trying to bridge the gap and get himself back on again. Where Rui Costa actually made the big attack, made the big move, and managed to hold on to it.
There's proof of what we were telling you. Portuguese, plenty of them here. Rui Costa wanted to go off and celebrate with them, but he's being ushered into the medical zone. He'll soon be in the winner's enclosure. Have to feel for this man now, Matthias Frank. If he carries on his progression, there'll be more opportunities like this, surely. 26 years of age, best Swiss rider last year. No doubt he's going to be the best Swiss rider this year. And as long as he really doesn't blow it on the last kilometre or so now, then he's going to have his best ever finish. I'm getting some bad news though from Maggie next to me. Points to the timing equipment, and I can tell you that with 1 kilometre to go, he's 1:42 down on the time set by Rui Costa. Those of you who are mathematicians, start doing the sums now. 500 metres to go for Matthias Frank. No faulting the effort he's put in here. I think he knows what's happening, and he's pedalling away for his dear life now.
I think you might see the podium being Costa, Mollema and Thibaut Pinot.
Certainly a bigger change than we might have expected at the start of the day.
Well, has Korsika managed to hold on to that?
Whilst Maggie does his sums, we'll watch Matthias Frank come in. No shortage of support, listen to this. The flags wave. Everybody claps. There's plenty of cheering too. Lots of photographs of a Swiss rider finishing the final stage in yellow, but I'm afraid it's a jersey he's going to have to give up. Rui Costa has taken the win at the Tour de Suisse 2013. Matthias Frank has attempted with all of his valour and defiance to try and hold on to it today. I'm afraid in the end, in sporting terms, it just was not good enough. And Matthias Frank going to come over almost 2 minutes down on Rui Costa. But he gets the reception that his race this week has deserved. 1:55 down, Matthias Frank. That's the last time this year you'll see him in yellow, whereas this man is getting ready for the wardrobe change. Rui Costa, winner of the Tour de Suisse. Well, it's down to the BMC soigneurs to try and console the man who Magnus will be absolutely distraught here.
Well, both yes and no. I think he can take an awful lot away from this in terms of positive, his strength in riding, and he's managed to fight off an awful lot of attacks and everything in the during this week, and stayed in yellow for a long time. So, you know, he shouldn't be too disappointed. Yes, you know, the first sort of instance here, he'd probably be, you know, saying a few well-spoken, unfortunate words that we can't really say here.
Well, of course, everybody doing their best to keep the cameras away. That's probably the best for him. Effort till the last. No faulting that whatsoever. And I'm afraid he's going to end up in the 5th position. That's to equal his best so far on the Tour de Suisse.
Yeah, but you know, if he can keep on doing that, and okay, he lost it out this year on the final time trial to ultimately a rider which was far better than he, and you know, he's just got to keep on working away at it, and I think he will come back and he will win this one day.
Well, we'll be hoping so. And anybody who's a neutral fan, I think, will have a soft spot for this man after the way he's ridden this week. Would have won the hearts and minds of many a cycling supporter worldwide. You can see just before that Rui Costa is doing the name justice. Remember, I've already seen one of the most famous soccer players in the world to come out of that country with the same name. They were chanting his name in football stadiums 20 years ago. Now on the roads of cycling routes worldwide, Portuguese supporters cheer on Rui Costa. He's the stage winner by 21 seconds ahead of a very, very good performance from Tanel Kango. Let's not forget about that either. Malcolm Mollema third on the day, 29 seconds back. There was Pirro as well, who was very close in the end. 42 seconds on the day. General classification looks like this. Well, if you're going to win it, why not win it by 1 minute and 2? 2 stage wins, 1 minute and 2. There are no doubts about who was the strongest rider here this week. Rui Costa's cleared that up for us today. 1 minute and 2 ahead of Mollema. Roman Kreuziger in third, 1 minute and 10 back, with Thibaut Pinot and Matthias Frank making up the top 5. Forza Rui Costa indeed. The Portuguese contingent has got bigger and bigger and bigger. We also said at the start of the week that there was a large Portuguese contingent in Valais, where we were in Crans Montana. We first saw their supporters. They've travelled all around Switzerland. They've come from the capital, Zurich, no doubt, today, whereas the rainbow of different nationalities live and work. And Portuguese very much for the 2nd year running the language of the Tour de Suisse. So the Volta Suisse, we should start calling it, has been won by Rui Costa for a 2nd time in his career and a 2nd straight year running. So supporters wait. Anticipation, expectation, they know what's going to happen. They just can't wait for the moment now. Here's the man, and I can tell you we'll be speaking to him in just a moment's time. He's getting congratulations from the UCI commissaire down there. His soigneur is helping him get ready for his big moment. And Rui Costa, well, he's shown it now in single week long races. Can this man make the progression and start to make the difference in 3 week long races? That's the big question here.
I think that is a big question, and it's a question we're going to have to wait and see whether that's possible or not. You know, the 3 week stage race riders are a different breed, and there's so many riders who can do these sort of one week to 10 days long stage races very well, but struggle to take it further.
So we'll look down at the Valensee, which is Lake Valent.
Rui Costa, ¿qué final? ¿Cómo
Rui Costa, the winner.
Impresionante.
Well, really impressive.
Hoy era una etapa muy importante.
Today was a very, very important stage.
igual que iría a decidir la Volta a Suiza y bueno, en cuanto a
So
mí,
of course,
puedo
I had a
decir
great
que
chance to win the Tour of Switzerland
el
again.
día perfecto.
It's been a perfect
El
day.
director estaba magnífico dando los tiempos y bueno,
Well, the director
Estoy muy
sportif
feliz.
was brilliant, giving me the times all the way up, and
Segunda vez
I did
al
my
Tour de
best.
Suiza.
sí, encima ganar dos veces y
Well.
ganar dos etapas el mismo año. Estoy
Win it once, great. Win it twice, with two stage wins in the same year, even
toda la
better.
gente portuguesa
So
que ha estado
thanks to all the
insista
Portuguese fans who've been here,
y también a mi equipo que ha
and
hecho
of course to
un
my team
trabajo
who've done a
especial.
great job all week.
Gracias, felicitaciones.
So thank you very much. There we are. There you have him, the winner of the Tour de Suisse 2013, the 77th edition of this 9-day stage race. Well, Fabian Cancellara still wins the UCI World Tour as things stand. Long way to go, and I think Peder Sagan will have a few more points after the Tour de France the way he is riding at the moment. Vincenzo Nibali, winner of the Giro, in third. Chris Froome going into the Tour with fantastic form. And look at Richie Porte up there, Dan Martin, Carlos Betancourt, Joaquim Rodriguez in 8th position. Here he is, stage winner of the day. And there's a young Portuguese fan up with him, and his very own young Portuguese fan. So Rui Costa and son here to accept the prize. Time for snowboarding after he retires. He's already got a head start. Of course, as you know, Maggie, you won't be allowed to do much of that until he retires. Yourself a big skier until you were told to knock it on the head.
Yeah, that's one of those things that usually gets put into the contract very, very quickly. Anything, that's slightly remotely dangerous as such as a sport, you're not allowed to do apart from obviously riding your bike.
That's dangerous enough.
Well, it certainly is, yeah, that's for sure.
Rui Costa delighting the Portuguese fans that have come along to watch him. And that's not the last thing we've seen of him today. Prize of Portugal. Country that hasn't had too much sporting glory recently. Many different disciplines, so they'll be happy with this one. Rui Costa, 2 years running. Already won the Classica Primavera, which is a huge spring classic in the Basque Country. This is how he won it then. 21 seconds on the day in the 26.8 kilometres mountain time trial to end the Tour de Suisse. It was a pretty spectacular way to end the Tour, and as it showed in the proof, we had excitement right to the end. It really was a great watch. That's the biggest trophy that he'll be taking home with him today. Winner of the Tour de Suisse 2013. Well, last year, Tour de Suisse was where he picked up his only victories. I remember even the year back in 2010 when he actually didn't win the Tour de Suisse. He took a stage here. At the time, that was his biggest win. So he obviously has a great affinity with the Tour de Suisse. And without doubt, superb affinity with his fans. He even got t-shirted up for the occasion. Ready for the podium then. Malcolm Oliver said this week that his aim was to get on the podium. He had a stage win. Hasn't had a yellow jersey all week. Thankfully for him, those 20 seconds he lost on the time penalty weren't the difference between him winning and losing this race.
No, that would have been a bit cruel, I think, but for Malcolm Oliver, this has been a good tour.
At the end of the day, same could be just about said for Romain Kreuziger as well. despite the fact that he didn't quite perform as we might have expected him to on that stage 7 into that point.
Yeah, no, I think Roman had bigger visions of Tour de Suisse here, you know, and certainly going into today with 23 seconds behind Matthias Frank, I thought in his head he was going for the win.
Marco Moller on the podium, his best ever Tour de Suisse performance. He's another man who could make a big step up here in stage racing. It's been expected of him for a few years, but his progression has been good. It's been slow, it's been gradual, and it has been very impressive. Also impressive the way that this man is starting to rack up victories as the years go by as well. Had the odd stage win before last year, this race included, as I was just saying, but he's now had his first big stage race wins on the World Tour. And here he is, donning the yellow jersey after another almost week and a half in Switzerland. Look at that. And he delights the army of fans that have come to cheer him along. Applause from the men he beat. Rui Costa, the winner of the Tour de Suisse 2013.
Das Siegerbild, die ersten drei der diesjährigen Schweizer Landesrundfahrt. Sieger Rui Costa Movistar, zweiter Bauke Mollema Blanco, dritter Roman Kreuziger Saxo Tinko.
Great for Portuguese cycling, great for Movistar, who've had a fantastic month or so. And they also had Gio Visconti up there on the general classification before he had to retire after a crash. Rui Costa then winning it by over a minute, no doubt about who was the best. And he takes the prize after 9 days of racing. So he walks off to celebrate. Still the big matters of the presentation of the other jerseys to go.
Nun geht es den Bergkönig. Keine bessere Destination als hier in der Flumser Berg, einen Bergkönig auszuzeichnen. War Leader, verlor das Trikot, hat es zurückgeholt. Wir gratulieren dem Besten am Berg bei der diesjährigen Tour de Suisse.
Robert Vrecher, winner of 2 jerseys at this race. Robert Vrecher, King of the Mountains. It's been a good week for him in the red jersey.